Hello, I'm Ashwin Prasad, and I'd like to welcome you to a special series, a special presentation I've put together for you. I've actually put it for pretty much everyone at this planet here. However, since I'm speaking with you, I want to share with you a couple of things I found and I found to be very intriguing within these last, I would say, a couple of weeks or about a month, more than a month or so. So why am I putting this video out? Well, first of all, I'm not a doctor or a medical doctor or a medical professional where I'm going to be talking about the COVID-19 coronavirus or this particular pandemic. There's tons of other people talking about that. I'll let that be up to them. They can speak with that. However, me being a clinical hypnotherapist, NLP practitioner, and energy worker, I have a great deal of information. I've been practicing this stuff for about 15 years, so I've been, learning from, the greatest of all great people out there, and not to mention a number of experiences that I've done on my own, where I've worked with a lot of people myself, helped a lot of people. So I am privileged to speak with you and share my information with you. So as you can tell, that we're living in a very we're living in contracted times today, where we are experiencing uncertainty, and that's not just affecting us, through this coronavirus. However, it's affecting us as our stress levels are going higher and higher and higher. So that's something that I found to be very intriguing, because when our stress levels go high, our immune system goes lower, and that makes us more susceptible to contracting the corona, or the COVID-19, I should say. So the indirect effects that I'd like to address today are what's going on in our environment. Who's talking to us? Who's giving us what information? And who's milking this moment here for that's done on our expense here? I want to talk about some of these things. Now, keep in mind, this is not a rant or a blame or an attack on other people or agencies. However, what I want to do is simply identify with a couple of things which allows us to move forward beyond that. Now, I have an interesting story. It just happened to me not too long ago. I was watching one of my favorite TV shows, The Blacklist. And I was watching The Blacklist. I don't know if you're aware of this. If you know what The Blacklist show is, it's a pretty interesting and intense show. I gotta say, it's a very intense show. When I was watching it, I started, feeling the intensity of it, because it's a crime syndicate show, and it's about this person that, is becoming an informant for the FBI. So as I was watching this show, a few minutes later, I hear this loud noise coming from my TV, and I got startled. I said, "What the hell is that?" Well, it was the Amber Alert that was giving this loud noise, and it started giving its information on the bottom. So this big scroll is going on the bottom, talking about the COVID-19, how many people are died, how many people are about to die, how many people are affected, how my area is being affected, how the the government, what they're doing, what they plan on doing and stuff. So I felt my stress level gradually go up a little bit more. I was aware of it. Well, when you watch network TV, you're aware of this, that every 3 to 5 minutes there's a commercial. Now, when I was watching this, the news commercial comes up, and it talks about all the news about the story feeds, or the teasers that they'll be talking about later on. Now, I'm thinking to myself, the news is on all day. Why are there news commercials talking about what they'll be talking about? I guess that's just me. I don't watch too much TV, so as you can tell, I'm a little bit behind times here. Well, I found that to be interesting. So the next segment comes up, the next commercial comes up, and it just, long story short, the second, set of commercials that came up, again, it was a commercial about the news, and it was talking about the war against this pandemic here, about war against the COVID-19, the coronavirus. And then the next commercial was it was asking us to please join us and sign up on their app. I'm thinking to myself, and there's the way they're saying it is very nice. Well, we'd like to keep you well informed, and no matter what activity you're doing, we want to make sure you're well prepared and you're well connected and you know what's going on. Please sign up today on our free app, and you'll get the latest news, up to dates, and so on and so forth. Right? That's what they were saying. I thought to myself, I'm confused, but because news is playing, no matter where you go, if you go on your phone, there's news there. You go on the computer, there's news there. How much more do you need to be connected to the news, right? If there's 10 networks, or if there's 15 or 20 news networks, and each one of them have an online app on their phones, and you were to download that, you'd go crazy, you'd go insane. Well, sure enough, the next commercial it's not a Prozac commercial. It's a new, the year 2020 antidepressant medicine. I forgot the name of it. It was some weird name, right? And I thought to myself, a light bulb went off in my head, and that's when I realized that if I'm experiencing this much amount of stress in just within 1 hour, I can only imagine what's happening to those who are not aware, who are not in their awareness, or those who watch 8 to 10 hours of television or news, or continuously live on their phone, and they're just glued to their phone and addicted to this. And that's what inspired me to put these series out. Because if I have some valuable information, some valuable knowledge, I do believe it is my duty and my obligation to put that out there, so perhaps I can help you. I don't know if this would help or not help you. If it doesn't, you can share it with someone else, but I have a lot of great, dense, impactful information for you here. So just stay tuned there, right? I guess my question to you is, on this planet, there is about 1% of the world's population that live on an extreme affluence. We're talking about like maybe in the trillions or in the high billions, right? These are the people that cannot be possibly affected by this coronavirus or any type of unusual new strain virus of that sort. However, they are being greatly benefited by what's going on here, right? And then you have 80% of the planet, 80% of the world's population that are being greatly affected by fear, scarcity, loss, anxiety, depression, some form of illness, mental, emotional, or physical ailment that may include or may not include the COVID-19. And then you have the 20%, I call it between the 19 to 22%, but let's call it for the sake of this video, the 22%. The 22% are the people who live on abundance. These are the people who live on abundance, right? They focus more on their health, their wealth, their happiness. These are the people that are focused on continuous growth, and they experience the growth. These are the people that live on their terms, which means they eat vital foods, and they listen to vibrant things. It could be rock and roll, but it keeps them up and moving, right? And most importantly, it gives them the freedom. Now, in my findings, abundance equals freedom. Okay, because you can't be in scarcity yet experience freedom. They don't go together. So in order for those who value their freedom, I can guarantee you one thing: they live in abundance. The moment they experience scarcity, they lose control and they contract. So my question to you is, which are you? You don't have to share that with me if you don't feel. However, you need to ask yourself this question. You need to identify with where you are. By being critically honest, I think you will identify. This allows you to acknowledge where you are, and then you can make that decision if you want to be part of that 80% or part of that 20%. Now, since that 1% is even out of my reach, I wouldn't even talk about the 1%. If you're interested and if you're wanting to be a part of that 20%, then I'm inviting you to continuously listen to what I have to share with you in the upcoming series. I'm going to be talking about just a couple of pointers here in this particular segment. However, the reason why I ask is because I don't feel like I have the right to impart or force or make you do something that you don't consciously or unconsciously feel. For example, there might be some people, and this happens all the time. There are people out there that are so addicted to drama, so addicted to victimhood, that they want to get out, but they'd rather be. This is so much more important that they feel more in the drama. They like to be a part of that drama. Well, I can't really help or even make much of a difference for you. I can kind of give my share with you, and you can allow that to seep in there, and hopefully you realize that being in this victimhood and being in this drama is not worth it. But there's so much more story behind that, which we would have to shake and unravel. So the 20 percenters, they live life. They just know how to live life. I aspire to be that 20%. I try my best to live that 20% on a daily basis. Well, some days it's not like that, and some days it is. One of the first things that is most important is surrounding yourself with abundant people. You can find abundant people anywhere. Surrounding yourself with abundant people will drastically change the way you are. They live on truth and they live on fact because they do not want to be misguided. So then they shoot and they aim for the wrong outcome. So another thing I want to address here today is something I've learned some years ago. I don't know what the actual term is, but coming in the field that I come from, we call that collective consciousness. Now I know collective consciousness has a number of different meanings here, but the way I understand the way collective consciousness is a group of people or a collective group of people exude their mental and their emotional states, their emotional beings, their energy pretty much, right, into something. And then there comes this experience that comes out of it. So, for example, have you ever been to, let's say, a sports stadium, a sporting event, and there's a big turnout. There's tens of thousands of people there. What happens? Everyone is cheering. Everyone is screaming. Everyone is just simply excited, and they're roaring, and they're having, they're waves that go on. What happens when the other team begins to win? They start booing. They get quiet. But you ever noticed that's why they call it the home team? In my findings, I found that the home teams usually win, not always, but usually they win is because you got so much more support, so much more energy that's focused on them. There's a desired win, there's a desired outcome there, which they want them to win. That kind of gives that energy to that sports team to win and to have a victorious moment there. There's so much power in that stadium where you can pretty much light up a whole city with that much energy that's in that stadium. There is a great deal of scientific findings that show that the heart is about between 8 to 10 times more powerful than the mind. If the mind is this powerful, can you imagine what the heart is? If you collaborate those two together, you got yourself real things going on here. The reason why I bring this up is because when you use raw emotion, there is always going to be an outcome. There is a manifested outcome that takes place here. Some years ago, I heard about the story about an asteroid that was about to come and hit the planet. Well, there was a group of people that were well-intended, that had so much energy that accumulated, and when they got together, they didn't pray nor they hoped. However, they incanted that asteroid to take a different direction, take a different course. And of course, if you're here today, then you realize that, of course, there was no asteroid that hit this planet. You may argue, well, that was that was just a chance that took. That was just a chance. That just anything could have happened. That's very true. But studies and findings did show that group of, it wasn't a small group, it was a very large group of people, did use their intent to make sure that asteroid takes a different direction. If we have the ability to sway things to and from, can you imagine how much power we're exuding right now? Now here's the interesting part. There is no prejudice for good and bad, which means as a group today, if we're experiencing enormous amounts of fear, scarcity, loss, that's only going to perpetuate what we're experiencing on this globe here. Animals, water, since water is information, which means it collects information. Trust me, that water is receiving this dense, raw emotion. There are days when you go out there and you can feel the somberness. Even though we have a beautiful spring right now, you can still feel some of the somberness here. Pets are being experienced, are being affected by this as well, right? So the whole point here is I'm not trying to say, yeah, well, what do you want us to do? Put our head in the sand and pretend that this thing does not exist? No, I'll be talking about this in my future segment here. However, you do not want to put your head in the sand. You need to identify what the facts are and go to work on it with yourself. Realize that we have the rules that need to be governed. Follow the rules, yet there's so much more than what our media is trying to have us condone here, right? So I want to get right into it and say, I'm inviting you, if you want to, experience what the 20% is, and I'm anticipating that the 20% does become the 80%, and perhaps the 80% that are experiencing massive stress or anxiety and scarcity become that number becomes smaller and smaller. So hopefully that thing gets switched around. Begin to build an alignment to lessen the stress. Here are a couple of things that you can do here. First of all, in order for you to lower your frustration and your stress, and you live with a family, or you live or you're with a team of people, one of the things that you want to do is collaborate. Collaborate. How do you want to collaborate? If everyone is doing their own thing, things are going on, everyone is doing their own thing. So what you want to do is you want to simply collaborate. Next thing you want to do is get on the same page. Because the worst thing you can ever do is get people together and everyone is just having their own show. It doesn't mean you all have to copy each other and do the exact same thing, but it does make a difference if someone were to come in here extremely stressed, that will just stress everybody else out. So just rather than being stressed, just simply relax. Next thing you want to do is identify with your mission. Identify with your outcome. If you have a mission and outcome, then you'll realize how important this is. If you do not have, currently you do not have one, now is a very good time for you to start identifying with what your family should be, in the sense of what they'd want to accomplish. Because when this lift comes back up, it's going to be crazy out there. It's going to be so crazy, it's not even funny. Now things are quiet. Now is a good time for you guys to reflect and understand, hey, what is our mission? What do we need to be doing here? In order for you to do that in a better manner, you need to identify with where your current state is. Where are you currently financially? Where are you currently in your, just in everything overall? Where is your current situation? If it's not ideal and it's not optimal, that's an indication that you need to have a desired outcome and have a mission. Because if there's a gap there, that itself will you can feel it somewhere in your body. You can feel it like there's something not right here. I experienced that and I know that, and that's why I'm sharing this with you. Next thing what you want to do is create and have a game plan. Put a game plan together. It doesn't have to be grandiose. It could be something as simple and then get more comprehensive. When you put this video down, you can walk back and just, start watching Netflix. But keep in mind, that's not going to help you, because I'm telling you, man, when this thing gets lifted, it's going to get crazy out there. No one's going to want to know no one's going to have any idea what to do. Work, companies, businesses, corporations, the government, they don't even know what to do. They go on the news and they go on TV and they blur out things. It's never congruent. Who needs to be responsible for you? That's you, my friend. That's you. Have a game plan. Next thing what you want to do, create healthy boundaries. Now, I could say boundaries, but boundaries has a lot of ambiguity, right? So that I'm saying simply have healthy boundaries. Regardless if you live with your partner, spouse, you have one child, or you have 10 children, you need to identify everybody with their healthy boundaries. Allow them to have experience or do what they need to do without you just continuously hovering over them. Because if, for example, if you need to work out, exercise, meditate, or pray, you need that allocated time. You don't need people bombarding and continuously blowing you up. In order for you to be a more optimal person, you need to have healthy boundaries. If your spouse or your partner says, hey, I'm going to go take a bubble bath, give that person that respect and do not bother them. If you need to get on a business call and you're on that phone for 45 minutes, tell the people around you, hey, don't bother me for this so-and-so time. If you give other people healthy boundaries and they're not giving it to you, you need to tell them to say, you know what, in order for me to do this, I need this healthy boundary. What's another example? You got one person in the house that watches TV till 5, 6 in the morning, watches TV all night, keeps you up all night. You got to go to work the following morning, or you got to get up and do some work. You can't. Why? Because you were up all night. You didn't sleep. It's important that you tell that person to say, you know what, in order for me to do this, you need to cut the TV off by 8, 9 o'clock so I can have a good night's sleep. Or just keep the TV at mute. It doesn't matter, but it should not affect you. That's what healthy boundaries means, okay? Number 7, I also believe this is very important, is be a team. Well, you're like, no shit, Sherlock. No, I'm serious. Be a team. You need to put your hand on your chest, look around your whole family and say, you know what? Say it together. We are a team. And you got to feel it. Because if not, when you say it and then when you feel it, something changes. That everyone just kind of gets together. Because amongst these, you don't ever want to have your kids do something else while you guys are putting these game plans and this identifying and having mission statements. Everybody needs to get together. They need to identify what this is. Kids are smart. Trust me, kids are smarter than grown-ups. They might be having a simple, they don't know all the intellectuals and the intelligence of certain things, but they're smarter than people. I'll give you an example. My daughter, she'll say, Papa, happy, 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 and she'll pull my arm, and she takes me to the freezer. She has me open up the freezer, and she grabs her popsicle. Popsicle for her means happy. That makes her happy. That's why she calls it happy, right? She knows exactly what she wants. Baby, you want cheese? No. That's her, by the way, right there. She's a grown-up. Right? She's about 2 years old now, right? So she says, no, Papa, happy. If I give her a grape one, no. Cherry. I give her the cherry one. She looks up to me, and then when I open it, she goes, Papa, happy. She knows exactly what she wants. Therefore, she's smarter than me, because I might focus on some things that I don't want. That's what you might be doing. Hey, I bring that story up is because we focus on a lot of things that we don't want. But let me get back on becoming a team. Just imagine, I'm putting 5 fingers out there. You got five, 6 people playing on a basketball team. You have your opponents here. You guys are just doing your own thing, have no idea what's going on. I guarantee you this team will jump in hoops, will make hoops over you within just a matter of seconds. Or it could be like 100-0. You have no idea what's going on here. You're going to say to me, well, dude, we're not even playing basketball. You're right, you're not playing basketball. Maybe you are, maybe you're not. But your opponents are outside. And they're being very successful with coming in the back door. And causing you guys disruption. So that's why it's critically important for you all to get on the same team. There are family members, there's people out there, there's haters, there's random people, there's opponents, there's higher organizations, they all want to come from the back door and feed information so you guys just are out of sync. And that's just the way it is. And that's one of the reasons why I'm putting these segments out there, is to help you realize, to get on the same team. Now, what I found interesting is, it was about a couple weeks ago, I read this article. I found it to be funny, but the truth was it wasn't that funny. There was a man who hoarded, I'd say, about $1 million worth of N95 masks. These are one of those, those medical grade masks that were in shortage. Well, he bought a whole bunch of them, and the feds, sometime later, the feds found out that this guy bought and hoarded like $1 million. Feds went to his house and seized the whole thing, and raided the whole house. Took, I don't know, a truck full of these masks. That is the problem with scarcity. He was getting greedy. Maybe he wanted to sell it for an extraordinary, stupid price. That's not up for him. That's not up to him to make that decision when we're in this crisis. The reason why I'm sharing this, another reason why I'm sharing this story with you, is just imagine if I hold and retain this information and not share it with you, hoard it. Well, what good does it do me? Well, if I am a clinical hypnotherapist, an NLP practitioner, an energy worker. So I might as well just share that information to you, and you can, decide what you want to do with it. But you got to realize that there's immense amounts of information out there, and I'm here to empower you and help you become that 20%, which I hope that number drastically goes up. Anyways, thank you so much. Have a great day.